Good evening. The monster returned. That simple headline from one Oklahoma City newspaper aptly described the mile-wide tornado that devastated that city yesterday. While we don't yet know the final death toll, we do know that for the living, the real test is just beginning. For much of the day, rescue workers continued to comb through debris in a frantic search for survivors. That included Briarwood Elementary, one of two schools in the tornado's direct path. Some 75 students and staff were inside when it hit. Elsewhere, stunned residents were trying to take stock of the ruin around them.
We've lost everything. We don't have anything left. We'll make it. We'll be okay. But everything's gone. In Washington, President Obama promised the full support of the federal government.
Oklahoma needs to get everything that it needs right away. The FEMA administrator, Craig Fugate, is on his way to Oklahoma as we speak.
But for those who lost homes, the months ahead will be daunting. That's the message from residents in Monson, Massachusetts, who were hit hard by tornadoes in June 2011. Greater Boston returned to Monson 9 months later, only to find residents frustrated and exhausted. Repairs on Donna and Tom Gilman's home were stalled by a dispute with their insurance company.
You feel helpless because you don't know where the money's going to come from. You know, you have all these sleepless nights and, health issues and everything else that goes along with the stress, I think, of a disaster.
Ken Bailey said the reality of the situation set in the morning after the tornadoes.
I got out of the motorhome that first morning and cried. What do you do? Where do you go?
While Bailey's insurance covered his home repairs, he had to shoulder many other costs, like clearing fallen trees from his land. Still, he had this advice.
You gotta keep moving forward, and that's the problem. A lot of people you'll see around town stopped, and you can't do that.
A valuable lesson Oklahoma City will soon learn for itself. All right, and with me now are Laura Yarbrough, whose house was destroyed in the Monson tornado 2 years ago, and Karen King, a town resident who founded Street Angels to help out other residents affected by the tornado. Laura, welcome. I know you've had a hard, you didn't even want to look at this video from Oklahoma City because you're still feeling the effects of what happened to you.
Absolutely. That's the first time I've seen it. I haven't had the news on. I haven't looked at a newspaper, listened to the radio, anything.
What happened with your house?
It was completely leveled while my 12-year-old and I were in the basement.
And you were in it at the time?
We were, yes.
You and your son?
Yes.
And what happened?
Prior to it happening, I saw the warnings on TV for another for West Springfield, a few towns away, and then it had started to hail at our house. And we were like, oh, look at the hail. And we went outside, we picked pieces up, we took pictures, and then I was on the phone with my neighbor, and we were talking, and she said, do you see that? And I said, see what? She said, the big black cloud. And I said, no, I don't, because we had a tree. She goes, we better get in the basement. So I said, okay. I was very casual about it, and I said, come on, Joey. I had my laptop, my computer, a sweatshirt for some reason, thinking like if I needed to cover him. And we went down to the basement, tried to get the dog to come with us, but she didn't want to come. And it was at that point the window started rattling, like I could feel the breeze stronger than usual. So I just shut the door and left her and took him down into the basement. A few seconds after that is when I heard like the shattering glass and the splintering of wood. And at that point I pushed him because I didn't originally want to take him under the stairs. I knew that was the safest place to be, but the house is very old and the water main was under there. So I didn't want to take him there, but once I started hearing the glass and the wood, I just dropped everything and I pushed him under the stairs and I just held him down, held his head down while he screamed, and I just kept telling him, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, we're going to be fine. But you could feel the pressure in your body.
Yeah.
And then at one point, the back part of the basement came down, flipped the furnace over about a little more than an arm's length away from us. And it was at that moment, I think I opened my eyes and saw the yellow swirling dust, whether it was from the house or I don't even know. And I thought, oh, it might not be okay. And then, like, it was over.
Wow, yeah. So Karen, now just fast forward a little bit, because, you know, we have been back there several times. I mean, Laura had an extreme experience, as did a number of your neighbors.
Absolutely.
But it wasn't easy. I mean, everybody, oh, well, I have insurance. They couldn't get the insurance. FEMA comes in, the Red Cross. Why was it such a cumbersome process for so many people?
Well, I think because it had never even happened in our area. We weren't prepared for what was about to happen. And what happens in the minutes, I swear it's minutes, we were talking about on the way here, after a disaster, there's all these people that come from all over that try to take advantage of people. And what was happening, especially with our town, is our town hall was destroyed. And the emergency personnel were worried about, you know, recovery and things like that, making sure everyone was safe, and that's what their responsibility is for. But then we wait, you know, then what is the next step? The next step is, the government officials will come in and try to take number counts, and then you have to deal with your insurance company, and then everyone wants to fix it right away. They want to hurry up, get into another house. Why would you want to be homeless very long? So you just want to fix it and make it all better quickly. So a lot of people will take advantage of people such as Laura and other of our residents.
So yeah, where did you live right away? Where did you go?
For the first 2 nights, I stayed at a friend's. And then we had somebody loaned us a camper, and we actually stayed on the property with no running water, no electricity. We did have a generator while we were cleaning up and salvaging what we could. And then we stayed in a hotel for close to a month in Sturbridge.
And you opted not to rebuild. Why not?
It was no place that I wanted to live anymore. I didn't want to open my eyes every morning and see that and remember.
And did you eventually get anything from your insurance, from FEMA, from the Red Cross?
I can say that I got something from FEMA. The only reason that I did was I had it for my car because it wasn't insured. It was insured. I didn't have collision on it because it was too old. So I did see money from FEMA, but I think I'm the only person that I know that saw
What about your
money
insurance
from
for
them.
your house?
We have not finalized anything with our insurance company yet, and I have about 10 days to wrap that up. I have until June 1st. Last Friday, I submitted my contents list, and it's an extremely daunting task. You have to account for absolutely everything you own and price it all out.
Is that sort of what you do, though, Karen? Do you help people do that?
Well, we have just kind of helped people understand what they need to do, but we haven't helped them actually going to the point of figuring it out. But I know that's one of the things that I had 13 people living with me, cousins who had lost a lot of things, and that's what we were finding. We would be going on different websites, finding out how much they might have paid for something, what was in the room. People didn't have pictures of what was there. It's unbelievable that every single thing has to be accounted for.
Can you even imagine the scope of this thing? Not that yours wasn't bad, it was, and it was a couple miles. This thing is 17 miles, almost 2 miles wide. I mean, it's mind-boggling, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, and thousands of schools totally leveled.
Well, and we were lucky because we were able to use the schools as shelters and that, and then the children were actually able. They closed down for a couple of weeks, but after that, started to have some sense of normalcy. I think for the families that they could go back to school, and in these cases, that's not possible. Even a hospital was affected with this, and then we would have. I think there were 175 properties that were affected in ours, but I mean, there's neighborhoods in our area. There were some streets that were pretty much leveled, but in this area, for as long as you can see in Moore, Oklahoma, there's nothing. There's nothing, and I don't know what they're setting up shelters, and I've been a little bit in touch with some folks there to try to set up things, but it's a daunting task.
I'm curious what it looks like now, because Ken Bailey lost thousands of trees.
Yes.
He lived in the woods.
5
acres
suddenly of
he
trees.
Lived, have things started to come back? What does your old property look like, or have you not looked at it?
I honestly haven't been up there for a while. We sold it to our neighbors, and I think they're pretty close to having finished building, or they should be getting close to wrapping it up. But there's still like the splintered trees or whatever you want to call them that are just left there, that are just in the ground.
Scars.
Yeah, like a battlefield.
We have tree planting sessions. There's a replanting tree committee that has been able to fundraise so that we just had one about a month ago. On June 1st, on our 2-year anniversary, we'll be planting more trees. Our residents will get together. It's never going to be enough, and it's never going to grow fast enough in our lifetime to have it be, you know, Bethany Road, the street that Laura was off of, was what we used to fondly refer to as a tree-lined street, had a beautiful canopy. There is not a tree to be found.
Laura, do you have any advice for the people in Oklahoma? More, I mean, would you say move faster, get on it? Because Ken Bailey told us he jumped on it right away, and he felt very lucky because he was like the first one to call his insurance company, and he got right in.
I think, what did somebody say to me? It's a marathon, it's not a sprint, and there's no prize for being first. I know some people, like, you know, had their contents list and had that done within a month. Yeah. Maybe they were just in a better place. Then I don't know. You know, maybe they were in a better place. I didn't, you know, to emotionally deal with all of that and to walk through your house and visualize everything and know that it's gone. I mean, and they're just things, but I had to come to that point where it's just things and it didn't bother me anymore. And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that was there and this was there. And, you know, it definitely helped that I was able to salvage a lot of my pictures. So I did have that to reference. And I took pictures of things that we were throwing out that were ruined to document.
And I think making sure that the insurance person that you're dealing with is someone that you can establish a relationship, and if not, ask for another person to be reassigned to you, because we found that there were some people, some of our residents had the same insurance companies, but one was dealing with one adjuster, one was dealing with another.
Imagine.
So, you know, it's just like anything else. So, you know, you've really got to even have a friend help be an advocate for you, and that's one of the things that we try to just kind of help people see the whole big picture, and to try to, and if insurance isn't covering, get some volunteers in there.
All right, Karen King, Laura Yarbrough, thanks so much.